Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics. How you doing? Welcome to the Fantasy MD's Baseball Podcast. Today is Monday, June 6th, 2022. It's our 27th episode. I'm your host, Dominic Martino, here with my co-host, my partner in crime, my brother, as always, Matthew Arne. Matt, what's up, my brother? How we doing today?
Chilling, man. Enjoyed a nice weekend and nice weather. Summer's here. Life is good, man.
Yeah,
What
man. As you
about
said,
you?
I'm good, man. I can't complain. Doing pretty good in both my leagues that really matter to me. So I'm not complaining there. First place in the one that really counts. So I'm happy about that. But as you said, summer's here. Baseball's in full swing at the moment. It's getting to the point where 2 months in, I believe we talked about that last week a little bit. So with the finger on the pulse, I think we're just going to vibe basically kind of off what we were saying last week in the sense of 2 months in here, kind of got to make some big decisions. So we're going to start with the finger on the pulse with the keep trade cut here. And, basically, if you're not familiar, it's, we're going to go through our three names. We're going to start with bats. We're going to pick one each that we're going to keep, that we would keep, on our teams, one that we would be looking to trade, and then one that we would just drop straight out at this point and just say, we don't want to deal with them anymore. So the theme here is struggling players. We kind of talked, as I said, talked about it a little last week. We're going to give you names now. We're going to put some names to it and just see where we really stand on some of these guys. So to start off with here, we're going to go with the bats, Cody Bellinger, Los Angeles Dodgers first baseman. He's kind of been an outfield, kind of been off to a really slow start here. People kind of had some bounce back expectations. Second one is going to be Whit Merrifield, Kansas City Royals, second baseman, outfield, I believe, as well. And another guy kind of picking up a little bit recently, but numbers still really don't look great. And the last one is someone that we like to talk about a lot here on this podcast is Mr. Byron Buxton, outfielder for the Minnesota Twins. Another guy that I think Matt hit the nail on the head. If you were listening early, Matt said trade early on. And, those numbers started to come down. So, might not be able to get as much from anymore. So, Matt, you know what? Why don't you start it off here? Keep trade cut. Cody Bellinger, Whit Merrifield, and Byron Buxton.
All right. Well, my keep is Wit. You know,
Okay.
he's actually been bouncing back a tad. So his last month performance is actually pretty solid. He has 21 runs, 3 bombs, 19 ribbies, 4 steals, which is great to see. And he's batting 281. So it kind of looks like he's trending in the right direction. And he's been just batting very well, which means that, there's more to come, especially with that lineup. So I think he's worth the keep. My trade is going to be Byron Buxton. You know what? The name
Makes sense.
yeah, I mean, I've been saying it the whole time. But he's just one of those dudes that's going to get return on the trade value. It's the name, everybody's hype, but his phalanges are weak. So you get rid of the phalanges and you just move on. And you'll get a haul. You'll probably get something nice. Somebody will be dumb enough to do it. And then my cut is Cody Bellinger. He is completely underperforming. To be completely honest, it's actually really disappointing because at the start of the season and through spring training, I thought he was going to be a real bounce back
Yeah.
candidate.
He was heating up at the end of spring training there, as you're saying, yes.
He's looking great, but I mean, at the same time, for this season, he's freaking hitting 211. That's like, oh my
Yeah.
God, where's the Cody Bellinger like 17 million years ago? It feels like, because it's just he hasn't been the same. He gets injured, and now he's playing, but he's just like straight trash. So he's a straight up cut. I mean, shoot, last week he batted 118. That says it all right there.
Yeah. So Matt, I'm bounce it back to myself here, and you know what? I'm gonna flip it up a little bit here. I'm gonna go a little bit opposite of you here on this one. I'm gonna go with Byron Buxton is gonna be my keep, but here's why. Here's the catch with it. Here's the catch. Is that I think the time has passed to trade him, and it might come again, but I don't think the time is right now because I'm gonna read you off his stats so far in the season. So far in the year, Byron Buxton has played 39 games. Was injured a little bit here and there, kind of been, we pointed it out when he was. So that's 27 runs on the year for Byron Buxton. He has 12 home runs. He has 23 RBIs, only 1 steal, and he's hitting 216 with 44 strikeouts to 13 walks. Once again, Byron Buxton there. And my thing is I don't think you're going to get a haul from him right now. I think people are going to turn around and tell you, hey, he's been hurt. He's got 1 steal. The bombs are there, but that's really about it. Even the RBIs are looking a little bit low. The runs are all right, but I just don't think at the moment, what are you going to get for him right now? What's unless you can get a haul, I'm saying hold and wait till he gets hot again, then look to trade him. So I'm going to flip that here and say, you know what? Trade with Merrifield right now. Like Matt's pointed out, he's hot. The last month, he looks great. I know, he might wind up being, a vintage Whit Merrifield. But if you look at his numbers last few years, it looks like he's on a decline. 2019 he hit 302. 2020 he hit 282. 2021 277, and then this year 2022 he's hitting 224. So that's just a straight decline every year, if you're asking me. Yeah, Whit Merrifield's got 7 steals, only 3 bombs, not really a power guy, but I think you could be able to flip him right now because he's hot. I don't think he winds up, performing that like last year with the 40 steals and the, 10 bombs. He might come close on the bombs, but I don't know about the steals, man. I don't know if you're getting 40 steals from he's 33 years old, starting to get a little bit older. So I just say I think that's where you're going to get the most value. And then I'm not going to beat a dead horse here. I think the drop is obviously, or cut is obviously Cody Bellinger, guys. He's really not living up to expectations. I don't think anyone's going to give you anything from on the trade market after the down year last year where he hit 165, the down 2020 where he hit 239. It hasn't been since 2019 where he's shown us anything at all. So it's getting to the point where is if you really, really need the spot right now, I would look to cut Cody Bellinger in shallower leagues. Maybe hold a little bit longer in those deeper leagues, or you could look to trade him there. But in shallow leagues right now, he's a cut. Move on. Get yourself a nice little hot bat. We're going to point out some names today, but real quick, once again, just to highlight Cody Bellinger on the year: 211, 6 bombs, 21 ribbies, 6 steals is nice, but I mean that's nothing to hold on to. And 23 runs across 49 games for Cody Bellinger. Just that across that Dodgers team, he should be performing way better, and it just looks like he's barely trekking along. I could see him starting to get platooned at some point later on, but I mean, that's just me. So, Matt, I'm going to throw out the names here for you for the arms, the keep trade cut, and you just tell me what you think here. We got struggling Charlie Morton, somebody I was high on coming into the year. We got Mr. Ian Anderson, 2 Atlanta Braves there actually, and then we got Mr. Trevor Rogers of the Miami Marlins. Matt, keep trade cut.
So my keep is going to be Trevor Rogers. And I have a point for him, but I'm going to come back to that because I'm also pulling up them stats to compare.
Yeah, sure.
Then, sorry, I have all these things up in front of me. So, ladies and gentlemen, my bad. Ian Anderson is my trade because he actually has some value since he's young and he had a good season last year. And he's kind of, there's that hope that he'll bounce back, especially in dynasty leagues. He's the guy that like I'd probably be trying to buy low anyway. And then Charlie Morton, he's just washed up, hot piece of mess and garbage. So he's like my drop. I mean, he's what's his ERA? I think like a 7.
It's over 5. I have it here. On the year, Charlie Morton has a 5.63 ERA across 11 starts, 54 innings, 54 Ks, and a 1.52 WHIP, which is atrocious.
It's absolutely atrocious. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's absolutely gross. So this is what I'm just trying to go with here. But Ian Anderson actually is a young talent. He had a great season. He did exactly what we were hoping for, last year. And I think we'll see it again. I think, you know what, some things are just not really playing out for him right now. Sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen.
You're good, my brother. You're good. Just keep it going. You got it.
All right. And I'm just trying to get these splits. But Trevor Rogers, right? Trevor Rogers is the reason why he's my keep. Yes, thank you, Dom. My keep is because I think he's going to bounce back, and I really do think that. What I'm trying to pull up is his 2018 stats. So, not his 2018.
Last year.
Right.
I got you. So last year, Trevor Rogers, he was a 23-year-old rookie of the year candidate. He actually came in second to that award. I believe he lost to Jonathan India. So Trevor Rogers last year, 7 wins, 8 losses, a 2.64 ERA across 25 starts, 133 innings, 157 Ks, and a 1.15 WHIP. So a beautiful breakout rookie year for the kid.
Yeah. So he killed it last year, and it's really paying forward. God, these stats. I hate Baseball Reference. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Yeah, it's definitely annoying at times. I hear that.
Let's come back to me so I'm not slowing it down, and I'll get
all right, I got you here. So the thing with me is, Matt, is that I'm really struggling with all these guys, right? I literally have shares of all of them and all across all of my leagues that I'm in, and they've been killing me. They've been killing me. So I'm just gonna be true to what I've actually done so far. It might not be the right move, but it's just what I've done so far. So my keep, and once again, I'm really not high on any of these guys, but I'm just sticking true to what I've done. My keep is Charlie Morton. I mean, I'm still holding on to him. My biggest money league, I went pretty high on him. He was working that curveball in the last outing against, the Rockies. And I mean, he still got lit up for 4 runs, but he had 8 strikeouts. And last year, he really didn't get it going until around this time. And I mean, it's been like 11 starts for the guy. So, I mean, it's just getting to the point where you really got to decide what you want to do. And I mean, there's no value on trading him right now. So I mean, I really wouldn't be looking to trade him at all. So I think it's just a hold at the moment with Charlie Morton. And you kind of got to ride the wave here and just see where it goes. I'd say at least a couple more weeks. My trade is probably going to be Trevor Rogers because he just has probably the most name value at the moment, and you could push that big, 2021 that I just spoke about, as a 23-year-old. So far this year, though, Trevor Rogers and across 10 starts has a 5.80 ERA, 2 wins, 5 losses, 45 innings, 39 strikeouts, and a 1.55 whip. So, the numbers really aren't looking good there across the season. I just think at the moment you try and maybe push a trade, like I said, based off last year. Then my Cutsy and Anderson. I'll tell you this guy coming into the year, I was very, very high on, and then I started doing my digging like I do every season, and just I really didn't like what I saw. Yeah, you know what? The ERA looked pretty good last year for Ian Anderson. It was a 3.58 ERA across 24 starts, 128 innings though, 124 strikeouts. So I don't like that K per nine. And then it was a 1.23 WHIP. So it really was only the ERA, and I mean 9-5, but that's because Braves won the championship last year, one of the best teams in the league, and then this year kind of trends in a similar direction. The ERA goes up to a 4.70, and what I did forget to mention there last year, he had the FIP of a 4.12. So once again, we don't really like to get too crazy with that stuff, but FIP, fielding independent pitching, kind of gives you an idea what he would do with a neutral defense instead of a good Atlanta Braves defense. So it's starting to regress towards that across the 10 starts this year. Once again, 4.70 WHIP, 4.70 ERA for Ian Anderson, 4 wins, 3 losses, 53 innings, only 45 Ks, and a 1.39 WHIP. So I would just say he's the cut at the moment for me because I just don't think there's any value there at the moment. I don't think you're going to be able to push the name like you could with a Trevor Rogers. And with Charlie Morton, once again, kind of just a hold because I don't think you're going to be able to get much value on him either. So that's kind of where I stand with these three at the moment, guys. Just a bunch of struggling names that we wanted to let you know where we stand on them at the moment. But Matt, if you have any more thoughts you want to throw in real quick before we move on, feel free, be my guest.
Sorry, guys, but I have everything I need now.
All right,
Sorry.
good. All right, I wanted to check in and make sure before I before I threw it back to you.
My kid ate my homework. So
Damn Maggie.
damn it. All right. So this is what I was trying to compare. The reason why I think Trevor Rogers is actually going to bounce back is I'm comparing him to one of my other favorite pitchers, and that's Jack Flaherty. So Jack Flaherty in his third year, which is the same thing for Trevor Rogers. He's in his third year, had a terrible, I mean, horrific first half, right? So he had an ERA of 4.64 up until the All-Star break. It was atrocious. I was ready to drop him, but I held him because I knew the kid had talent, right? And I'm sensing the same thing. And I don't think Trevor Rogers is going to do exactly what Jack Flaherty did because he pitched out of his mind the second half, and everybody
Yeah, that
talks
second
about
half was crazy.
yeah. But I think the bounce back is at least there to come back to normal, and I hope we don't have to wait that long. But here's what Jack Flaherty did. He had a .091 ERA the second half, which right.
I remember that.
But I'll be happy with a second half at like in the low threes or high twos would be outrageous. And I think we're going to get to that because the kid showed potential, right? And the strikeouts are there. He's just getting unlucky as we get down into the later into the game. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's a stamina thing. Maybe he just didn't come into camp in shape. So let's see what happens. But the kid's throwing like a K per nine, at least one. So, there's something to say that at least he has some value in that aspect of it. So worst case, you get a Chris Archer. And best case, you get a bounce back of Jack Flaherty. So that's just my take on Rogers right now. It sucks playing him when you get blown up, but the K numbers are going to help that counting stats.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. So, I mean, with that guy said, I mean, we're gonna keep it pushing here. We're gonna head into some news and notes. Let's start off with Clayton Kershaw. He could be back to start this Sunday. It looks like everything's been looking on the up and up for him recently. So look to get him back and activated in your lineups. Then we got Chris Sale. He's going to throw a bullpen Tuesday. If it goes well, he's going to throw some live BP later this week. I'm thinking after the All-Star break, if I had to throw a date on that one. Matt, any thoughts on Chris Sale? I know one of your boys from back in the day.
I mean, at this point, if you have him, you held him this long, you might as well just keep holding. I would not go out and trade for him. I don't know if there's a world where he kind of bounces back because he's
I
barely played
mean,
any baseball.
I'll tell you this. I think just when healthy, he's going to give you some pretty solid numbers. Maybe the whip is a little bit high like last year. Guys coming off injuries like that. Normally, the control is the last thing to come back. But looks like he's going to be back sooner than later. Looks like I'd
Well,
say at least anyway, and
the
maybe
thing
next month or so here.
the thing about that is though, if he's comes back after the All-Star break, then we're gonna have to deal with growing pains for the first month, and that's the whole month of July into the middle of
I don't
August.
know, man. I just feel like if Sale is Sale, he comes back and he kind of just does his
But
thing.
he's pretty much just played what, like 32 innings worth of baseball
Let's see
in the
what
last
Sale has
two and a half
done.
years. Like
Let's take a look. See.
it's not good.
I know it's not much. I'll be honest. I definitely know it's not
Like
much.
if he
Let's
hit
take a
40, I'd
look.
be surprised. So like
So yeah, he in last year he threw 42 innings. He had 52 strikeouts, had a 3.16 ERA across 9 starts, and the WHIP was high at
and the
1.33.
season before he played nothing.
Yeah, he didn't play in 2020, but in 2019, actually was a really bad year for Sale. It was a 4.40
Right.
ERA, 25 starts, 147 innings, actually 218 Ks is outrageous. And the 108 whip is actually really good too. So it was just a bad ERA. And honestly, he had a 3.39 FIP that year. So it might have just been some bad defense, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
But
I like Chris Sale. I just think he, maybe similar to a Verlander type, just guy that and a Kershaw that just when they're out there, they're just dominant pitchers. It's just a matter of being healthy.
I think
My
I'm in
my
the
my
over the
take
hill.
anyway.
I think I'm in the Party City's over the hill kind of thing, getting him a 40-year-old birthday present because he's throwing like he's in his
Hey, fair
40s.
enough.
I
Fair
mean,
enough. Fair enough.
if you have him, count your blessings. If he has a couple good starts, be happy. If he's going up and down like I'm expecting, trade him with the name and say peace.
Hey, fair enough. We're gonna disagree. Well, agree to disagree here on that one. So, back to some news and notes. We got Eloy Jimenez of the Chicago White Sox. It looks like he's gonna need a little bit more time recovering from that hamstring tear, but I think he's gonna be back sooner than later. I'd say within like probably next 2 weeks here for Eloy, if there's not any setbacks. We got Lance Lynn. He's gonna be back. Hopefully one more rehab start, I think Wednesday, and then he's going to make his league debut, big league debut for this year on Monday, looks like. Max Muncy of the Los Angeles Dodgers, with that elbow, he just started a rehab assignment Saturday. They're saying that he's going to be back sooner than later. I mean, I want to throw out some little thing with Max Muncy. I don't think this is going to be the year for him. He had a monster year last year, but he had that nagging injury coming into the year, and it just looks like I mean, it's not going to be right for him. Maybe he has a great, end of the year, but I don't think there's enough time for him to get everything, figured out going forward. Just my take on Max Muncy as somebody who's been one of a big fan of his over the years. Then we got Willie Adames. He's supposed to be back Tuesday from that ankle quad. He had the ankle and the quad going on there. Tyler Meagle of the New York Mets, a guy who actually started off the season really hot, but then that bicep tendonitis started to eat at him and he got lit up there a few times. But he started in minors Sunday. He looked actually pretty good down there. He should need one or two more rehab starts, then he'll be back with the Mets. That's a guy I would go out there and take a look and see if he was dropped in any of your leagues. Maybe throw him on the IL until he comes back. Sneaky one. Then we got Tyler O'Neill of the St. Louis Cardinals. He had that shoulder, but he's been doing pretty good down in the minors so far. Looks like he's going to be back sooner than later. We got Steven Strasburg coming back from that neck and shoulder. He threw a bullpen today. Looks like he's actually going to be back later this week if everything goes good. But that guy is just made out of glass. So, I mean, I would just be careful there with him. Then this, oh my God, this is a guy that I know Matt and I are both huge fan of. That's Shane Baz, starting pitcher of Tampa Bay. He threw 4 scoreless in the minors and struck out 10. If he's available in any of your leagues, I know he's highly owned, but if he's some chance available, someone dropped him and no one paid attention, pause it, pick him up, or go out there. And I mean, if no one's seen the news yet, throw in a sneaky trade offer. But I just think he's going to be lights out for Tampa Bay as soon as he's back. Matt, real quick, want to talk about Shane Baz? Because I know it's somebody you love as well.
And he's incredible.
Yeah.
If anybody's dumb enough to have him on the waiver wire, scoop him up like Dom said. Trade for him too. Dynasty league, you're probably not going to get him because that's a whole nother animal. You'd have to give up the whole kit and caboodle for the next 10 years.
Oh, yes, sir.
He's worth every penny.
Yeah, kid's just an absolute monster. Once again, that's Shane Baz, starting pitcher for Tampa Bay Rays. Then we got Taylor Ward headed to that IL finally after just back and forth with that right hamstring. I don't know what the deal is, and maybe it's a minimum stay. I don't think it's going to be too long, they said, but just be careful because that's a tricky one with him. He was out a little bit, then he came back, and now he's out again. You just don't like seeing that. So just keep an eye on Taylor Ward. Maybe that's a sell high at the moment, too, while those numbers are still up where they are. And they actually called up Joe Adell. If he's an interesting guy. I just wanted to throw the name out there. So if he's out there in your league and you just you need somebody with high potential, Joe Adell, go grab him. And he was doing pretty good while he got sent down to the minors. Matt, your boy Jack Flaherty threw 3 perfect innings over the weekend. He's going to need at least a few more rehab starts to get stretched out, but it looks like he could be back. I would say early July. You want to talk about him either? Your boy,
Yeah,
Little Jack.
Little Jack is chilling. He actually he threw 3 perfect innings the other day. He's looking like himself. It's exciting. It looks like the uh, the shots they gave him with the stem cells are working, which is great. And the funny part is too, he was already pitching with the shoulder issue. So you know what? I think the kid's getting ready to just come back and pick off where he left off. Pick up where he left off.
Yeah, I fully agree with that.
Yeah. So if you've been stashing him this whole time, good for you. Because I
Yeah,
have too.
yeah, get excited about Jack Flaherty coming back. Then we got Jonathan India. He got an MR. He's gonna have an MRI today, and if it looks good, he's gonna start a rehab assignment in the minors soon. That's the reigning NL Rookie of the Year. I mean, he's off to a slow start this year. I mean, he's an interesting name. I know there's a lot of injuries out there right now, so he might have been dropped in some of your leagues. He's worth a shot if he got the room, but I just know that with the way injuries are right now, it's just tough to stash too many guys. But he could potentially be somebody that could help you out down the stretch. Then we got a sad one here to end off with one of my boys that we kind of ranted and raved about the other day, and that's Grayson Rodriguez, #1 pitching prospect in the MLB for the Baltimore Orioles, and he's just, like I said, the #1 overall pitching prospect. He's potentially out all year with a grade 2 lat strain. I'd say he's a drop in all formats except dynasties, and those keepers where you have like a lot of keepers, I don't drop them there either. But everything else, it's a safe to drop right now because the Baltimore is going to play it super safe with the best pitching prospect in all of baseball. But with that being said, let's step into our infamous waiver wire segment where we've been helping guys out all year with this. It's just been, I think Matt and I have done a pretty good job here of just providing a bunch of great names week to week to week where they're widely available, and a lot of them have panned out. Just I know Tyler Alexander, just a bunch of guys that we just named early in the season. Carlos Carrasco, before they were like highly owned, that have just been killing it. So we're gonna start off here this week with a couple of prospects. And Matt, might as well throw the first one your way because I know you picked him up today in a couple of our leagues, and just looks like he might have figured it out, and that's Jarren Duran of the Boston Red Sox, outfielder. So Matt, take it here. Let's hear some thoughts on Mr. Duran.
Duran was one of my favorite prospects coming up last year. He came up, was super disappointing, and then this year he came up for spring training, didn't make the team, got a quick call up, and just got sent back down. But it looks like he's starting off a little hot right here. I mean, he hasn't really done too much in the counting stats area, but he went 3 for 9 so far through 3 games, which is pretty great. He's leading off for the Boston Red Sox, which is another great point.
Gotta love that. Gotta love that.
Especially with that lineup, he's sitting in front of Devers, so he could be driving in a lot of runs. And I mean, he was killing it coming up was the reason why he got called up. And he had a slash line of 314, 393, and 523 with 4 bombs, 11 steals across 173 plate appearances. So I mean, you can't really ask for more. And if he can translate that into the bigs, which I think he can because he is a big time prospect, man, he's going to be so great. And you know what? I'm not going to say he's anything like this because he already busted once, and don't get too excited about him like this. But there was comps last year talking about him having even like a Mookie Betts light. So you know what? It's possible, especially with that steel power combo. I mean, he'll probably get you 25 bombs. He'll probably get you about 40 steals.
Well, I think that might be a little bit on
Not
the
this
high
year,
end.
though. Not
Of
this
what
year,
he could
though.
do. But Mr. Jaron Duran, he's 9% owned, outfield eligible, Boston Red Sox once again. Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Matt said here in the sense of that there's a lot of upside here with the kid. He was breaking down in the minors, 25 years old. It's time to, put up or shut up for the kid. At least in my opinion, after like Matt said, came up last year, kind of did the Jared Kelnick thing and struggled a bit, got sent back down. But he's on the right track so far this year, as Matt pointed out, good numbers so far, not too much in the counting stats except the 2 runs. But I think those runs are going to be very, very high hitting first. I think those steals are going to be very good. He's super fast. He has a 46 steal season in the minors in 2019. I think that's what's going to flourish because if you look at guys like Julio Rodriguez and Bobby Witt, the one thing that they are doing consistently is stealing bases. That's something that's easy to translate into the bigs. So I think the kid, might be able to contribute in runs and steals right away. Hopefully the batting average can stick. But leading off for the Boston Red Sox, man, you could do way, way worse at 9% owned for the kid. I think that's got to get up to at least 30, 40% owned going into this week, in my opinion. So next up, we got another high-end prospect here, and that's I mean, I know the Pittsburgh Pirates aren't the team that you want to hear about when you're going to pick somebody up, but Mr. Travis Swaggerty here, he got the call, one of the high-end prospects here for Pittsburgh. He's 1% owned on Yahoo, and he's having a pretty good year so far in the minors. Just bear with me while I get his stats here because as Matt said, baseball reference isn't the best place to be doing this, but that's where we do it. So, this kid, once again, pretty good prospect. I got you here his numbers now from the minors. Once again, Travis Swaggerty, outfielder for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He was hitting 280 with 4 bombs, 22 ribbies, 5 steals, and 20 runs. That's across 35 games. So, numbers aren't great, but they're decent, for a 24-year-old kid, coming into that Pirates team where Key Brian Hayes is hitting pretty good. Once again, isn't the best team in the world. But we just like to throw names like this out here just in case they do stick, just to let everybody know. I believe, they called them up. They're going to give them the playing time. Why wouldn't they? The Pirates don't really have a lot of talent. So in deeper leagues, I'd say, he isn't the number 1 waiver wire guy, isn't even maybe the number 2, but he's definitely somebody, deeper leagues, you throw an eye on, maybe NL only, and just see where it goes with the kid.
I mean, I hope he can live up to his name expectations since
Yeah, a
let's
little
hope he's
swag, right?
yeah. I mean, if he ain't got no swag bag, he better be sent down. But I mean, the slash line ain't bad. I mean, I'm pretty impressed with that. But I mean, I'm not running to go pick him up, but he is definitely somebody that's worth a speculative ad. At least if you guys are like me, that likes little young guys, likes to see if they got a little upside on them, and then you drop them when they go. But I mean, it could if he does pan out, he can really help that lineup between Reynolds and then Hayes. So let's hope he gets his stuff together so that things can really come together for that team.
Yes, sir. So you know what? That's again Travis Swaggerty for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Deeper leagues. Go and give him a shot and see where that heads you. So now we got another St. Louis Cardinals guy, man. Let me tell you, they're working wonders with that minor league system. I think there's just they got a special sauce over there. So I would say any young kid for the St. Louis Cardinals, I would definitely keep an eye on, especially the bats. So we're gonna talk about Brendan Donovan here. Man, has this big kid just been doing well down I mean up in the majors so far. He's played 35 games for the Cardinals. He's hitting 319. He's got a couple of steals thrown in. He's got 15 RBIs, only one bomb, but he still got 30 hits. 9 of those are doubles, 15 runs. I mean, just an interesting little name here. A young kid. He's 25 years old once again. Just somebody you can go and take a shot on him. I believe he's got the multi-positional
He
eligibility here
does.
on Yahoo. He does. He's second shortstop and outfield, only 24% owned, guys. He's actually somebody that's a little bit interesting here. Once again, I just like what the Cardinals do with these young guys. Look at Wanya Pez, look at Nolan Gorman, both doing pretty well in the majors here so far. So definitely somebody who's interesting at that triple position eligibility.
I mean, he's definitely worth it. I mean, especially in a deeper league or somebody's got like corner and center infield
Oh yeah.
aspects. He's like a home run and plus. I mean, what was they saying last week about batting average and being able to scoop that kind of production just to help boost it, especially on your off days? You're not going to find that. It's very hard. I mean, this year I feel like we've been pretty lucky with that. But I mean, shoot, he's chipping in some seals too, so he can help you. And that lineup is really good. So if he gets on base, then I think he can actually, at least be somewhat valuable, especially with all these injuries going on. I mean, shoot, I got 9
Yeah.
guys on the IL.
He
So
should be way more owned than he is, to
yeah.
be honest with you, the way things are this year.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm playing fantasy football right now with all the
Oh
owners.
Lord, tell me about. That's why I mean, not to really get into fantasy football, but that's why I'm so down on fantasy football over the years. Just because you can go in having the best team, and it's only 16 weeks. If you're not making all the waiver wire pickups, and you're not getting all those guys, that's why I love fantasy baseball, those because you got a whole season, a whole 162 to really figure it out and make your moves and keep yourself set. That's just why I love fantasy baseball, and I everyone listening, keep playing fantasy baseball and listening to the MDs, man. Truly, truly. So, man, any more thoughts on Donovan before we head forward here?
No, I think that's it on him.
All right, fair enough. So now here's the thing with Grayson Rodriguez, getting hurt and Adley getting called up and I just all the way things are right now. I think the number one prospect stash might be this guy. It might be Riley Green of the Detroit Tigers. I mean, man, was he on fire this year in spring training and he was about to get the call and then he got hurt. I believe it was his hand, Matt. If you want to double check me on that, I'm not 100% sure if it was, but it might have been a hand injury. But then he had been out a while, but he's now back in the minors, and I mean he's doing all right so far. So far in the minors, and I mean he's hitting 258. But I like the 6 strikeouts to the 5 walks. That looks really good. He's got 2 steals, 5 RBIs, a home run, 8 hits, 5 runs. That's 31 at bats in 8 games so far for Riley Green, the Detroit Tigers. He's the number one prospect according to MLB that's not in the major leagues right now. He's 31% owned on Yahoo. And if you guys like yourself a little stash, this might be the guy, in my opinion. I'll read you off what he did last year as a 20-year-old. Again, Riley Green for Detroit Tigers as a 20-year-old in the minors last year. He hit 301. He had 16 steals, 84 RBIs, 24 home runs, 8 triples, 25 doubles, 146 hits overall. Give me a second here because I just hit the wrong thing. Oh Lord. Where was I? Yeah, 146 hits, 95 runs, 485 at bats, and 124 games, man. Kid's got a lot of upside at 21 years old for the Detroit Tigers. Once again, Riley Green.
Yep. I mean, it's funny. He seems like he's going to be a good talent. I just hope that he's actually going to translate. I don't know if I'm going out there and stashing, but I mean, when people say, "Hey, you're the number one prospect in baseball," he may be worth the stash. I'm hearing rumors he may be getting called up soon. He's coming back from that
Yeah,
foot
yeah.
injury,
Same thing.
so
It was a foot. See, that's my
Mhm.
fault. It was a foot. I thought it was a hand. That's my fault. I
Yeah.
take it was a foot. It was a foot.
So the foot injury is probably what's stopping him. But you know what? Let's see what happens. Uh, I mean, I'm reading stuff right now that says he may be called up by the end of the weekend. So he's definitely worth the least a speculative ad.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you guys like yourself a little high end prospect stash, I think that's the guy at the moment with the way that the minor league set up, the way that everyone's been called up so far already, and there's not a lot of names left down there that are super, super high end like this kid. So I'd say go out there and stash him while you can before he gets that call, because once he does, it's going to be a rush to the waiver wire. So I mean, I'd say go out there and get him in the leagues you can right now. So the last last hitter we're going to talk about before we move into pitchers is going to be Mr. Lane Thomas of the Washington Nationals. Now, he's somebody coming into the year I know people were kind of high on, and we're talking about taking him with your last pick and seeing what happens with him. And then he kind of really hadn't did anything up until recently. And I mean, over the last couple of games, starting to heat up. June 5th, he went 2 for 5. June 4th, he went 2 for 4. June 3rd was the big breakout game for Lane Thomas, where he went 3 for 5 with 3 home runs and 4 RBIs. So, he's been hot here recently. I'd say, 4% owned outfielder for the Washington Nationals. He's been hitting second recently. Once again, a lot of people really thought he had a big time talent coming into the year. I know the numbers don't look great on the year with the 226 average and 6 bombs, the 1 steal, the 22 RBIs. But I think this kid's got a lot of talent, 26 years old. Definitely somebody that in deeper leagues, once again, those NL onlys that you definitely want to take a look at. And, I mean, if you got a spot at the end of your bench, he's worth a speculative ad in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely at least worth it at this point. But I will say something. Most of his production, like the part that whole reason that we're actually talking about is because of his last week. That's because he went 5.35, batting 412. Last 2 weeks he hit batted 2.22, which is funny, and he had 3 runs, 1 bomb, two ribbies. And then over that course of the month, it's only 10, 5, 13, batting 229. So I mean,
Yeah.
maybe we're seeing a trend, but I think it's more of like one of those things where it's ride the wave. Like you have everybody hurt right now, so you might as well see at least you can scoop him up. And if he ends up being a long-term solution, somebody that makes his way into it, I wouldn't be surprised. But at the same time, I'm not super excited about this guy. He's probably all the way at the bottom, right above Mr. Swaggity Swag over there.
You hit the nail on the head. It took the words out of my mouth. I was
Yeah,
gonna say the
right.
same thing.
So I mean, but you know what? It doesn't hurt. So I mean, right there, I think we're good on there. We're gonna move over into the arms. So we'll talk about my boy Jacob Junis, who I scooped up on Thursday, who ended up having a killer weekend this weekend. He's actually been having a killer season. So I mean, shoot, his last start, whoo, boy, he went 6 innings. He got the W against Miami, 8 Ks and a 1.5 ERA with a .67 WHIP. He's having a great year so far. I mean, shoot, see on the season playing for San Francisco, he has 3 wins, 35 Ks, 2.51 ERA with a .93 WHIP. He does have 43 innings pitched, so I mean, let's hope that he can get back to that K per nine that we're used to seeing. Um, so let's see what happens there. And I mean, I do like the fact that he's on San Francisco. He's only 28% owned, and I mean, shoot, with this kind of production right now, and we're seeing 43 innings. I think he's definitely worth an ad and somebody that you're probably going to hang on to for a bit. I want to see if this kind of goes south or this kind of keeps the trend going because I mean, 43 innings is nothing to snuff at. So, I mean, right now he looks like somebody that could be a long-term solution, somebody that could be a real nice sneaky pickup this year. So, I mean, in my opinion, out of all the names we have here today, he's my number one.
Hey, fair enough, my brother. I hear you on that. The one thing with I want to mention here, as we're talking about pitchers and waiver wire, it's just getting tougher and tougher and tougher every week to try and find pitchers on the waiver wire. So when we bring guys up, it's not always necessarily, hey, you have to hold this guy and keep him. It's just pick these guys up and see where it goes. Especially if we say, hey, this is our number one, our number two guy for the week, like we're talking about here with Jacob Junis. I'm going to agree with Matt in the sense of he might be the number one guy here for ads for heading into week 9 because on the year he has a 3-1 record. Once again, Jacob Junis, a starting pitcher, San Francisco Giants, 3-1 record, 2.51 ERA across 8 games. 6 of them are starts, 43 innings, 35 Ks, and a 0.93 WHIP, which looks beautiful. Now, 29 years old, a little bit older, but he always had showed a little bit of talent, with the Kansas City Royals. Maybe not for a full season, but he always had showed a little bit of talent. I want to say that San Francisco over the years, they've been finding a way to, make starting pitchers a little bit better. Now, it may not be looking that way so far with Alex Wood and Alex Cobb, but I will say this: Alex Cobb's velocity went up when he came to San Francisco. Maybe they found something with Junis, worked it out, and those kinks that he had with KC have been turned into something better, making him way more productive this year. Once again, as Matt said, only 28% owned on Yahoo, so you got to go out there and at least give the kid a shot for the foreseeable future. So that's my thoughts here on Mr. Jacob Junis. We'll talk about our next guy here. Once again, if you've been playing fantasy, might be familiar with the name. That's Mr. Dane Dunning, starting pitcher for the Texas Rangers, formerly of the Chicago White Sox. I know when he was with the Chicago White Sox in his rookie year, I'm actually pointing out those stats real quick. It's only 7 starts, but he had a 3.97 ERA, 34 innings, 35 Ks, a 1.11 WHIP. And I mean, showed a lot of promise as a 25-year-old rookie that year. And this year, 27 years old. I mean, the numbers don't look great on the year. It's a 4.11 ERA for Dane Dunning, 11 starts, 61 innings, 63 Ks, and a 1.27 WHIP. But you know what? He's looked a little bit better here recently. I'm gonna give you some of those recent numbers here. 16% owned on Yahoo, so he's widely available. His last start was against Seattle. He went 7 innings, 7 strikeouts, 2.57 ERA, and an 0.43 WHIP. He's got the Cleveland Indians this week on June 8th. So that's why we really wanted to talk about him. He's definitely worth the ad for going forward this week. Once again, maybe not a long-term solution, but he's definitely a juice to orange guy. As I said, he's been good before in the big leagues. And he looks all right here. Once again, maybe a little bit towards the end of your roster, juice the orange, but I think Dane Dunning's worth a look for at least this week.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I mean, to be completely honest, he's not one of my favorite guys, but he's
Yeah.
definitely worth this, at least a stream this week. He's one of those guys you kind of want to hit on. I think Cleveland really hasn't been performing up to par except for Ramirez. So, I mean, at this point, let's just
Yeah.
take what we can get. And you know what? Pitching's been horrendous this year, like Dom said earlier. So you can't pass up on somebody like that. But that's all I really got on him. But let's talk about Rich Hill. Rich Hill actually had a great start over the weekend. I scooped him up on Friday as well because I was in
Yeah.
desperation mode, and he ended up panning out for me. Through 6 innings, he got the W against Oakland. It was a nice, easy matchup. Got 5 Ks, a 1.5 ERA with a .5 WHIP. I believe he's going to get up against the Angels this week, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
think he's got Seattle on June 10th, from what
Seattle,
I'm seeing.
which is a little bit more better matchup in my opinion. So you know what? I
Yeah.
think that
Yeah.
he's probably going to have a nice little start. Maybe get you the W, but he won't kill you in Ks. I mean, won't kill you in ERA or WHIP, and he can get you some Ks and chip those in, possibly a W. So I mean, I think he's a fair start, especially at 11% owned. Somebody that you can stream in this week and feel good about it at least.
Yeah, once again, I'm just gonna agree with everything Matt said here. He old reliable. Rich Hill's been doing this for 18 years now in the big leagues at 42 years old, man. So eventually, Father Time's gonna catch up to him. And I know the numbers on the year aren't fantastic with the 4.40 ERA and the 1.18 WHIP is nice though. 45 innings, 34 Ks. You don't love that, but I mean, as Matt said, he was good in his last one. He's got a couple good starts here. He's got something to give you longevity as long as he's not giving up a couple bombs. But the good matchup this week with Seattle. I think Rich Hill is definitely worth the stream. I'm not going to beat a dead horse here with him. But we got one last starting pitcher, and then we got a couple closing options for you here. But this one's a new name here for me, at least anyway. And I hope I'm saying it right, but it looks like it's pronounced Connor Plinkington. I don't know, man. How's that sound to you? Connor
Um,
Plinkington?
so let me do my traditional butcher the name of the
Yeah,
week.
right. I'm going with Connor Plinkington.
So I mean, there's no L before the L for the I, so it's Pick
Or
Pilkington.
Pilkington. Okay, all right,
Pilkington.
yeah, all right, we got it. All right, we got it. I think
Can we
Pilkington.
can we take the
Pilkington.
date and time? So it's June 6th at 7:46 p.m. I pronounce the name better than Dom, and it's going to be the
Yeah,
only
you
time.
got it. You know what, Matt? I will give you full credit on that
Yeah.
one. You totally broke that down way better than I did.
All right, I broke it
All
back
right,
down
but
to
Mr.
first grade.
KP
I
here,
like that
starting
better.
starting pitcher, Cleveland Guardians. He's 5% owned here, and he's been getting a chance to start here recently, and actually, it's been I think his last time out really looks like his first real full blown start. He went 5 innings, he got the win, 8 Ks, didn't give up any runs. The WHIP was a little high at 1.4, against the Kansas City Royals for our boy KP here. And now he's got Texas Rangers this week. Not the best matchup, not the worst matchup, but I think he's worth the stream. On the year, he's got a 2.65 ERA. The WHIP's a little high at the 1.59. So I mean, he might get a couple guys on base, but he strikes people out too. 23 innings, 23 Ks across 17 innings. And I mean, he looks pretty good here. Interesting name. Gonna find out how old the kid is because I'm not even really too sure about that. Not super familiar with the kid, but I know this is his first year up. Yeah, 24 years old, got some upside here. Uh, I mean, numbers this year in the minors weren't great, but in 2021 looked pretty good. So for Mr. KP here in the minors, last year he had a 3.04 ERA, 100 innings, 120 Ks, and a 0.99 WHIP. So kid got some upside here. I definitely think how did I say 5% owned, definitely worth the shot. And that's once again, let's try this again. Connor Pilkington.
There we
So
go.
guys, go out there and give the kid an ad. I think he could be worth a shot, at least for this week. And maybe if he keeps it going, you keep him going forward.
Yeah, I think that it's encouraging that he is earning his rotation spot because he was really just like he was been bouncing back pretty much as solely relief, but now they were saying, oh, we're going to bounce him back, and then that's last start happened, and that
Yeah.
was June 1st, his first full start where he got 5 innings. He got the W, 8 Ks through 5 innings, gave up no runs and a 1.4 WHIP, which is high. But you know what? If you notice, he's an outrageous K per nine guy right now. It's looking. It's probably because he's trying to do a little Blake Snell action and strike out everybody under the sun versus using a little bit more control and then reeling them in. So this is good though. This is really good because if he can actually earn his full time spot in this, or at least get you a couple, you're going to get a boatload of Ks. And if he's doing what he's doing with this last one, I mean, shoot, KC is nothing to snuff at either. They're a really good team. A lot of bats in that lineup, and he
Yeah,
did
they don't
that.
really strike out a lot either. So to get that
Yeah,
amount of Ks against them is nice to see.
yeah, those names in that lineup is really fantastic. So I'm going to say, hey, like you know what, he's definitely another one, probably my number two arm out of this whole thing. I mean, out of four names, I mean, it's 50-50 between him and Rich Hill. But I mean,
Yeah, I would
I'm
say
going to take the
they're
upside.
all pretty close. I think Junis is the guy to go out there and you snag for this week anyway. And then the other three, they're all fairly close to each other. I'd say it's kind of preference at that point. But you know what? At this point in the year, we gave you a bunch of good starters there that can provide you definitely with some value this week and hopefully a little bit more going forward. All right, yeah. So we're gonna just wrap it up here with the closers. The guy I was big on last year, and that's Paul Sewald of the Seattle Mariners. It looks like he's got the closer job going forward, in my opinion. He's got the last two saves here for Seattle. 36% owned on Yahoo. On the year, he's pitched 20 innings with 19 Ks, 2 wins, 4 saves, a 2.21 ERA, and 0.84 WHIP. As I said, he's got the last two saves for Seattle. Last year, he was the guy at the end of the year. He had 11 saves for them, a 3.06 ERA across 62 games, 64 innings, 104 strikeouts. So I think the K per nine is only up from here, in my opinion. And that's a 102 WHIP last year. Guy's got a lot of upside. I think he's found a home in Seattle, and I think they're going to trust him here moving forward, in my opinion. Once again, Paul Sewald, Seattle Mariners.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing about Seawald is they really haven't given him the full time starting role. It's all been situational, which sucks. They're kind of doing like a relief by committee. But I
That's true.
mean, the fact that he got the last two is encouraging. It's something that he's worth at least a speculative ad for anybody that's really hurting on saves. So I'm pretty excited for that, and especially since they're going to be in a lot of close games, like you said before. Um,
Yes, sir.
36% owned, so he's available in more than 64% of leagues. So I'm pretty excited for that. And I mean, I'm not. I did my job and drafted a lot of closers, but if I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
in,
I think at this point, and I know in a lot of deeper leagues and stuff, closing is really, really hard to find and come by. So this guy, he did last year down the stretch, they kind of let him flow with it, getting those 11 saves, over the last couple of months. But it looks like, as we said, he got the last two saves here. You could probably do a lot worse at the moment than Mr. Seawald. So now this last guy
absolutely,
we have, what's up, Matt? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
I said absolutely.
All right, so we're in agreement there on Paul Sewald. We got one guy here. Now here's the thing with this guy. That's AJ Minter of the Atlanta Braves. He's not the closer yet, but man, Kenley Jensen has been pretty stinky so far. To start the year. We're gonna start you with Kenley Jensen's numbers, and he's the current closer for the Atlanta Braves. He's got a 3.80 ERA. That's across 23 games. He does have 14 saves, 23 innings to 33 strikeouts, and a 1.01 WHIP. So the ERA has been pretty high. I know he's blown a couple of saves here, and over the last couple times out, he's been giving up runs. But Mr. AJ Minter, man, he's been lights out so far this year. I'm gonna read you his numbers. He's got 2 wins on the year, 1.13 ERA. He doesn't have a save yet, but he's got a bunch of holds. He's got 24 innings, 34 strikeouts, and an 0.79 whip. He's been literally one of the best relievers in baseball. So even if you're in a holds league or a league just where you're going to get rewarded a lot with a great ERA, a great whip, a lot of strikeouts, and I think he's a Kenley Jensen handcuff at worst right now. And if he ever gets that job, if Jensen gets hurt or if he really struggles and the Braves let him run, I think he's a top 5 closer, man. Just that talent is finally broken through for the kid.
Yeah, I'm saying thank God, finally he's coming through to fruition. But the thing is, Kenley Jansen is a name, somebody they probably paid a
Yeah,
ridiculous
yeah,
contract off the top. But I will say something. Baseball is not like any other sport like football where they just pay guys just to pay. They pay them and they play no matter what. This is situational stuff. This isn't like a starter that they got to just keep going. This is the end of the game.
especially a
So
team like the Atlanta Braves.
yeah, so they're in a win now mode. So I can see where this guy can kind of be transitioned into middle relief and be a setup man. And Minter can take the job. And if you remember Jansen last year, he really wasn't that hot on the Dodgers either. So there's a fair chance he does lose this job. And Dodgers don't just let anybody walk away. So
Yeah,
they know what they were doing when they said bye bye. So I think
yeah,
that Minter is definitely a strong candidate, and at least you have to go out there and handcuff him.
yeah. The thing is, Kenley's 34 years old. He's only getting older. He's been injury prone. And just I think AJ Minter is just so talented that, like I said, if Kenley gets hurt or if he blows like 3, 4 saves in a row and the Braves just say, screw it, and we're just gonna go with Minter to win these games, once again, he's going to be a top 5 closer in my opinion. So it's kind of a go out there and do it before it happens kind of move. Because once again, as I said, I forgot who it was with earlier, Riley Green. It's a situation where once they say Minter's the closer, it's a rush to the waiver wire or it's a rush to the put as much money on him you can in fab leagues. And because it's just a guy who's been lights out, he's had a good career so far, 28 years old in the prime of his career, and he just looks like he's got it down pat this year. So once again, speculative ad there, and at least a handcuff with AJ Minter to Kenley Jensen. So guys, we're gonna wrap it up here for this week with the fantasy MDs. Once again, we appreciate everyone listening and rating, reviewing, and all that stuff. But we do ask, if you enjoy what you're hearing, you can go out on Apple and give us a 5-star review and just write a little something. Once again, it goes a long way to helping us out. And just throw us a follow if you haven't already. Throw us a subscribe on the YouTube. It really means a lot, and we really appreciate it, guys. So we'll catch you later on Wednesday. Until then, guys, see you.